Today is Christmas, and in this video, I want to give back to all of you. If you're an active user in Fallout 76, or maybe even just got the game either through a gift card and you decided to buy it, or even through a present, you will quickly come to learn that certain items in the game are quite a bit rarer than other items in the game. There's a couple of methods you could actually go through to get these items. Sometimes you can't even find the item and you just have to really find the plan, and other ones you just have to find directly. But what I'm going to be doing in this video is giving you the gift of knowledge on how to get some of these super rare items in Fallout 76. Some of the things on this list are ranging from uncommon with permanent spawns, aka you could go there at any point and any time and it'll pretty much always be there, to other ones where more it's just a guide and some tips as to how to find this a bit easier. Maybe you don't want to spend your hard-earned cash in the emote shop buying some of those Christmas bundles and you just want something that looks cool but maybe is free to get after the purchase of this game. If that's the case, this video is going to be for you. And naturally, this comes with a disclaimer. If you're one of those people that spends day in and day out playing Fallout 76, it's very likely you could know just about everything on this list. There may be one or two surprises, but for the average user and maybe even some of us who are a little bit more in the hardcore end, there probably will be at least one thing on here that you didn't know how to get or where to get it. So first and foremost is actually going to be a really useful asset in this list, and that's actually going to be the Responders vendor bot. Fallout 76 has this feature of roaming robots that do have various items. This is often the site you could find a lot of the rare items in the game. Two of the well-known ones are Phoenix and Graham, Graham being roaming, Phoenix being pretty stationary, somewhat. But as I alluded to, one of the ones you may not know about is the Responders vendor bot. This is actually a unique spawn. He won't always be on the map, and it actually is just triggered by a random event. Sometimes he's going to spawn at the Charleston station, and it seems like he's going to be one of the only ways to get certain rare and unique items in this game. For example, the cuckoo clock, which I personally bought from him, but even beyond that, you guys have probably seen that spacesuit. It's really dirty, although cool looking. Some of the time, this vendor bot will actually sell a clean variant of this spacesuit, both the helmet and the body. That's definitely a cool way to impress some of your friends while they have their old dirty ones. There's also a few other clean variants you could find within, and even the Hunter's long coat, which is a really cool outfit in this game that not many people have or even know about. A couple of tips for actually finding this guy, since he has so many rare items you really can't find elsewhere. Spawn at Charleston Station, either through fast traveling or of course server hopping if you're really trying to farm this out, and then actually run past this bent over telephone pole. After that, just kind of turn around, let the world load in, and this will trigger the random event to spawn. But it's actually really useful to do this in groups, or maybe do this with a couple of friends. Let's say you find this robot and then invite one of your friends. He's going to sell totally different things to your friends, so it's a really good way to actually farm items quickly. But maybe you want something with a little bit less randomness and another way to actually impress others. Throughout Fallout 76, you could find these little machines where you have a chance to win a perfectly preserved pie. Rather than painstakingly sitting there and going through it time and time again, hoping you eventually win, I have an alternative. Well, this one really isn't that well known, so I'm going to keep it in between me and you. If you go to the West Tech building, where all of those super mutants do spawn and run around the side, you're going to find a staircase leading you to the top of this building. Make your way onto the top of the West Tech part of the building itself, and a lot of you guys have probably found this or been here. You can find some paintings and miscellaneous supplies, but if you actually work your way onto the other side of this roof where it seems like there's nothingness, you can find a little chair and one perfectly preserved pie. So in my testing, this wasn't a 100% spawn rate, but it was still really high. In other words, if you go here and don't actually find the pie, you typically can just reconnect to the server or server hop, and it will spawn after a couple of tries. It certainly isn't difficult to find it through this route, but as cool as those two are, maybe you want some things that are a little bit more practical, things you could use in day-to-day combat. Well, I also have you guys covered. The War Drum is a new addition in Fallout 76, and in my experience seems to be the rarest or least used out of all of these new instrumental melee weapons. I'm not entirely sure why, since it actually does a ton of damage and is pretty freaking cool looking, definitely cooler than the Super Sledge, which is probably its biggest competitor. Well, either way, you actually have a 100% chance of finding one of these guys on the second story of the top of the world building. You walk up to this little stage and you'll find where seemingly raiders were once performing, but obviously that didn't go over too well. Now, of course, to actually make it onto the second story of the top of the world building, you'll have to start the raider quest through Rose, but it isn't that time consuming and it actually is a fairly interesting quest, so you get the added bonus of this new War Drum. I think a lot of people probably just run straight past this. I know I did when I first got to this location, but yeah, there's two just sitting there and it's pretty useful, especially at medium levels. As fun as that one is, it actually is a slow heavy weapon, so you can do a really quick burst of damage, but over time your DPS may not be the highest. Alternatively, we also have what I would actually call two of the coolest new additions as far as melee weapons go, and that's going to be the Cultist Dagger and Cultist Sword. These things just look awesome, and the whole cult following Mothman has in this game is a really cool backstory that hopefully is expanded in the future. But for an insight into that and a way to actually get these weapons, you're going to want to head over to the Lucky Hole Mine. Making your way through this mine, it'll pretty quickly become evident something rather odd is going on here, especially through some of the props you do just find around. As you work your way deeper and deeper into this, you're actually going to end up finding several notes, but also an altar that this cult is using in the video game. On that altar and in this room, you could find several very interesting things, two of which being the Cultist Dagger and Cultist Sword. Not the rarest weapons in the game, but definitely something that I think deserves a bit more attention. This is far more interesting than just your typical ski sword. And even beyond that, the added bonus with this one is it's a very interesting location to explore and actually find out some of the backstory of. Then we do have plans for the fusion generator, or really any of the larger generators in this game. Some of these you just end up getting by doing the Overseer's quest, but other ones like the fusion generator are a bit harder to find, and I get this question a lot. It's not necessarily the rarest item in the game, but it definitely seems like there's a lack of know-how as to actually acquire it. Basically, to get any of the generators in this game, you're going to have to do the very tedious and otherwise kind of frustrating powering up missions. These are events that you're going to be able to find at all the major power plants on the map, and each and every time you actually complete one of these events, there's going to be a 100% chance you get plans for some generator. This of course could be a duplicate, but hopefully it's something like the fusion generator that you don't presently have. Again, personally, I found these events to be fairly annoying and they kind of take a while. That's probably why you haven't completed them, but fusion generators are super useful for workshops, and for that reason, I would definitely recommend tackling one, even if you just need to bring a few friends along. But then last but not least, we have what are actually going to be the category of one of the rarest items in the game, so much so that a lot of people probably don't even realize they're in the game. And that's going to be jetpacks, something that was relatively common or not hard to find in Fallout 4, which of course takes on the opposite role in Fallout 76. These are so hard to find, in fact, that even though I spent quite a few hours while filming this video trying to get them, I was unsuccessful. So I can tell you how you eventually end up getting them, but it's kind of a tedious and not the most fun process. But if you do it, you will definitely have a cool show-off item. So of course, jetpacks are modifications for power armor. They seemingly are not available for the Raider power armor or the Excavator power armor. There's just no plans, or they're not made in the game yet. But otherwise, if you actually do want to get these in game, in order to get the T60 or the T51B variant, you're going to have to go to the Watoga Brotherhood of Steel Trader. There are other ways to actually find them, but this seems to be the most consistent if you just sit here and server hop over and over. But as I did mention, I probably spent 2 to 3 hours just literally server hopping over and over again trying to find these things. I haven't found anything, but if you do want the plans for XO1, you're actually going to have to go to the White Springs bunker. And even further, you're going to have to complete the quest for the Enclave, because the only way you actually get these are from the Armory Trader down deep within this bunker. I imagine most of you who actually have XO1 and are seeking these plans already knew that though. These of course are quite a bit more difficult because when fast traveling or server hopping with this location, you're spawned quite a bit farther out from it. So maybe you could just check every once in a while and you'll get lucky, but otherwise by far the hardest to get are Ultrasight. Seemingly as of right now, the only way to get the jetpack for the Ultrasight power armor is a drop from the Scorchbeast Queen. So obviously farming the Scorchbeast Queen over and over again seeking this isn't easy. So if you do see somebody with this, you'll know they did something very special, or rather got really lucky. As an alternative to all of this, there actually is a subreddit known as the Market 76 subreddit. I've talked about it a few times on this channel in the past. There people are posting all kinds of things and offering up trades, so if you don't actually want to put in the time to find one of them and you do have enough caps, you can probably just buy it. But either way, I really hope you guys found this video informative. I wanted to make something not necessarily negative, but just help you guys out. Maybe some of you just got the game, maybe some of you have some time off when you're going to play the game, and certainly to get some of these items you will need quite a bit of time, but also maybe as an alternative to buying what I kind of view as those overpriced holiday bundles that the game is currently offering. If you don't know, actually some of them already expired, so there's seemingly items that you can never get now, but also it is Christmas and approaching the end of this year, so I really just want to say a big thank you and kind of shout out to all of you. This year has been incredible to me. I plan on making a more formal video of this, but hey, it's the actual holiday, so I may as well do it now. Now, my channel has without a doubt reached new heights this year and broken pretty much every record I actually had on this. It really has been an incredible year, both with Fallout 76 and of course some of the other content I was producing all throughout the rest of the year. 2019 should bring a lot of really cool things. Fallout 76 is finally in a pretty decent state, I would call it. We are getting some of those DLC plans soon, as well as I'm excited to make more Fallout 4 and even the Outer Worlds content. So hopefully you guys are really enjoying your day. Hopefully you had a good day with family, either today or yesterday. Hopefully your presents are wonderful. But with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.